Hi everyone, happy Mother's Day weekend. I'm going to be working on some Mother's Day cards today. I'm not a big card maker, and I had a different plan for a video this weekend. I'm behind on some journal flips, and somehow I went to visit my sisters today, my two sisters that live here in New Jersey. My other sister lives in Florida, and I got really sentimental about Mother's Day. So, I hope to make this video real time. I know that doesn't thrill everybody, but it's easier for me. There's no editing. I'm not going to do any voiceovers. I really hope to not even cut anything out. Any bloopers are going to stay in here. Any any mistakes. It is what it is. I want to move on and enjoy the rest of my Mother's Day weekend. Some of my kids are coming this afternoon. I say some of my kids and my grandkids. And I'm really looking forward to that. So I want to get this done and ramble while I do it. So, two very special mothers I want to celebrate. I want to make two cards. I have them both taped down to this board. This is just an old board out of the back of this watercolor paper packet. It was handy. It was something good to tape the two cards down on. My mother-in-law, who's been very good to me, my husband and I will be married 34 years in June, and my daughter-in-law, who is the most wonderful, sweetest mother I could ever ask for to raise my grandchildren. And I'm feeling really sentimental about both of them, so I thought I would make them a card. And I will ramble about them and how I feel about them during this video. My daughter-in-law bought me these a couple of years ago. It was part of my Christmas present, and it was really sweet and really thoughtful. She got me Strathmore watercolor cards and Strathmore creative cards. So the watercolor cards are obviously a nice thick watercolor paper. I like Strathmore paper, and they have matching envelopes. That's the one on the left. The creative cards say ideal for drawing, stamping, calligraphy, light washes, and collage. So I thought I'd do both cards at the same time with the same supplies and compare the two, and maybe it'll be a mini review as I go. Let's see what happens. So I thought I would start with some stamping. Just for some texture, I picked these stamps. These are from Stampin' Up. Some little dots, some little teeny flowers, some little hearts. I want them to be light designs in the background. This is a little butterfly. This is the little classic rubber stamp. Hampton Art Stamps. I don't know where I got it, but it's cute. I have a Ranger Archival ink pad. So, you know, I always put a face. I can't help it. So probably both of these are going to have a fountain pen face with my favorite at the moment, ink. It's a Lamy All-Star pen with this beautiful blue teal ink in it. But I want all of the background to be permanent so that when I use that ink, nothing in the background moves. So both cards will probably have a face up here in the top left-hand side. You're going to see everything in this process. I probably should have a scrap paper for my stamping, but let's just go for it. So let's just put some random squares of dots. I don't know. Both cards, each one will be a little different. Okay, you clean this off on my paper on my table. That's the dots. Let's put some little open hearts. I really don't have a rhyme or reason. Oh, I don't know. That's good enough. And some little teeny flowers. This is looking a little busier than I had planned, but that's all right. Everything doesn't have to go according to plan, right? All right, now I want a few butterflies, but not many. Let's go with 3. 3 strategically placed butterflies. That's a pretty little butterfly. Can you see it? Look how pretty that little butterfly is. It's got such fine details. 1, 2, 3. As simple as that. All right, stamps are done. Let me get those out of the way. They dry pretty quickly. I don't think I even have to dry them. Let me make sure that's still in the picture. Okay. I have my ugly acrylic ink and acrylic paint tray. I have separate palettes for different inks. Since my pen is this beautiful teal blue green, I thought I would use, this is Daler Rowney FW Light Green, and I wanted orange, but I don't have an orange ink. So I'm going to try mixing this Daler Rowney Flame Red with this Indian Yellow. So, bear with me. I should have shaken them before the video. Let's see. You want to make sure all of the pigment that's lying on the bottom of the bottle is all mixed in. Okay, so let's put out some green. And, you know, all of these little droppers don't always work, and I don't know why that is, but I keep extra pipettes handy just for that purpose. I'm going to mix the orange in this one in case anything comes through. There's some yellow, and in my experience, reds are always really strong, so I start out with just a tiny bit of red, like a drop, and see how that, I hope this palette is in the camera. Alright, so what brush? These are acrylic inks. I really don't want to use my better watercolor brushes. This one's kind of a crummy watercolor brush. I can use this. I'm going to wet it first, mix up this orange. Now see, that little drop of red did make a really nice orange. Now, I envisioned, I'm going to spray a little water, because I envision sort of loose watercolorish flowers on top of this. And I want the paint to move around pretty randomly. Oh, there's not really much water there. Now there's going to be some dry time. That part of the video will not be real time. I will spare you that. I'll probably shut down the camera and go sweep up the back patio, so when the kids come, we can sit outside. The backyard's beautiful. It's such pretty weather this weekend. And I gotta make sure there's no dog poop for the grandkids to step in. Alright, so the orange is pretty. I'll put a little heavier in the middle. You know, the paper is reacting slightly differently. I don't know if this is meant to take that much water, that much liquid, but we'll see. Now, the green, I want to keep it away from the orange. That is distilled water in my sprayer. Let me put some random green around the edges. It's not moving around much on this paper. I can tell you for this, I like the watercolor paper better, but I kind of knew that. The other is obviously a mixed media paper. We drop a little center of green in each flower. I put out way too much ink. See that? I'll have to use it on something else. A little more water. I'm gonna wet this ink down a whole lot and add a little more in some strategic places. Now the watercolor paper, it's pooling. Let me grab, I guess, a paper towel. One of my mop-up paper towels. And decide, do I want to, I think I'll take up some of the heaviest of the puddles just to help me on drying time. The only thing I don't think I like at this point, this one's good for putting in a face. See how soft it is? This one here has got some really hard, I'm going to soften out some of those hard lines. I think that's good. It's a good start, right? And what did that take me? Not long at all. I'm going to let this dry, maybe go sweep up the patio, and I'll be back. While those cards are drying, I thought I'd show you my big easel with all the junk underneath. This is my big standing easel. I keep a large canvas on there. I don't know if it's 16 by 20, 18 by 24, and I use extra paint, acrylic paint, and extra acrylic ink, and every time I have extras, I smear it on. And look at that fabulous background I have started. Just thought I'd let you know I used all that extra ink for a good cause. Okay, I'm back. I admit I did not go out and sweep off the back porch. I was impatient and I did what I'm going to tell you not to do. I'm probably going to be sorry. I used a heat gun on this, and with the tape on here, I probably sealed the tape right onto the cards, and you're going to hear me piss and moan when I pull that tape off and it sticks. But I was impatient. I will tell you that this watercolor paper held up excellent to that process. It's all flat and smooth. This has some lumps. It's not dry yet though. So, and it was not meant for heavy water, so I have to take that into account. But visually, they both look good, don't they? This one's much drier. I'm going to start with this one. So now I'm going to use my Lamy pen, and I hope the ink is flowing, and I hope this is still in the picture. But now see, the face area on this one is here, where on this one it seems to be a little lower, but that's okay. I'm going to just, I want really big eyes. Oh, my pen's acting up a little. That paper, that tells me that paper is still damp. I'm really pushing it. I'm pushing my luck. And if it keeps going like this, I will stop and let it dry. Yeah, that's damp paper. The pen doesn't want to work. You know what? Lesson learned. That pen just won't even work. All right, Uncle, I will go out and sweep the porch and let this dry. I'll be back. Okay, I am back. I don't know if these are dry enough yet. I rushed through my chore because I really want to finish these. This is really what I am inspired to do right now. You know, we always have a plan, but then we have something that we really feel compelled to do. This is what I feel compelled to do today. This card here is for my daughter-in-law, and this one is for my mother-in-law. So as I draw the face on this, I want to talk about my daughter-in-law. Her name is Christina, and she is so beautiful on the inside and the out. She's intelligent, she's creative, she lives life with a zest and an energy. I'm going to see if I maybe need to push some ink out of this pen. Let's see. I'm going to wheel the feed down a little bit there. See if I can get the ink to flow a little better. Sorry, a little lack of air there. She lives life with passion. And you know what's sad? Just like a lot of us, I think you'll agree with me, she doesn't know how beautiful she is, and how creative, and how smart, and how hip. I'm sure if you asked her, she doesn't think she's hip and cool and beautiful, but she is. And she's raising 2 boys who are free-spirited and full of life and energy and creative. My grandson, who's 9, is going to be an artist himself, I think. Yep, see there, the ink is finally flowing. I think that's what it needed. You fountain pen people might understand the ink flow problems we have sometimes. And my daughter-in-law creates a beautiful home, a beautiful environment for my grandchildren. She is verbal in a way that I am not, with showing her appreciation for people, for me, writing beautiful, heartfelt cards for every occasion. She never misses a birthday. She is very thoughtful in a way that I feel like I often drop the ball. Ooh, that might be too much ink on the nose. I got to remember this ink is so bold. It may be too strong. But I am eternally grateful. She also is very good for my son. Look, I'm selfish in that way. I want women in my son's life who are good for them and make them better people. And sorry, Tom, but Christina definitely does that. Not that my son isn't a wonderful person in his own right, but you know, when your children find a relationship that they adore one another. My son and Christina love spending time together. They adore one another. I think they both make each other better people. It doesn't get better than that, right? And these are the sentimental things I think about on Mother's Day. So, this card is for Christina. And I don't tell her often enough. I don't often enough write cards on the inside of this card. I intend to write some beautiful sentiments. Look, my ink is now leaking on my fingers. I had to remember to talk about the art too. But I'm going to ask her to watch this video and hear my thoughts and my ramblings. And maybe that's a good way to express to her something I don't express often enough. So this girl's going to get some curly hair. And I don't know how soon I should wet it, or if I should just go for it with these flowers. These flowers here, I want to make some loose. There's one. Here's 2. And here's going to be the 3rd. All right, before I move to this one and talk about my mother-in-law next, let me take, now my acrylic ink and my stamping will all stay and not move. So I can take a watercolor brush now. This is a size 7. There are watercolor brushes, this is just a side note, that when they get wet, they stay bent. I like these ones with a little bit of, no matter how wet they are, they bounce back. That's just what I prefer. I guess it's just what I learned with and got used to. So now I want to activate some of this ink. It's very water soluble. But I like that. I like bold. I might get quiet during this part. I knew it would be too much on her nose. I put too much there. Let's see if I can take some off. I'm going to wet my brush. You can. See that? You can pull some off with a wet brush. I'm going to have some harsh lines to soften up. But the beauty of using the acrylic underneath, the acrylic ink, is that won't move. Now I'm kind of scrambling because she looks awful, doesn't she? Let's see. Maybe I can blot some of that extra off and then soften the edges. So I rinse my brush, dry it. Let me soften those edges out. The beauty of making cards, this isn't like, you know, a painting that necessarily expects to get hung on a wall, although she could frame this if she wants to. I don't know. The expectations are just lower so I don't get bent out of shape. I lost some of her nose there, and I will go back and put some of that in. This is not coming out what I expected, but let's keep working on it, okay? I'm going to go around that flower. I'm going to go back, see if I can soften some of this up before it's too late. I keep taking that extra ink and water off of the brush and going back in. Got a harsh spot over here. I don't know how to get rid of that. This is uncharted territory. Okay. I'm going to go around these flowers to bring them out a little bit. Maybe a little bit on the inside. You know, I think the best testimony to my daughter-in-law and my son, I can't leave him out of the equation, they parent together, is that my grandson, who just turned 9, had his birthday party last weekend. And as he opened the presents, every single gift, there was a whole house full of boys and girls playing video games and acting wild. It was a very exuberant birthday party. Every gift he opened, he stopped, he went to that person, he thanked them. Children who had drawn pictures for him, now let me pull a grandmom, okay? I'm mom here, so take it with a grain of salt. My grandson can draw, and he's well ahead of his age on drawing. He draws beautifully, and every child who drew him a picture, he said, "This picture is amazing," and went to them and said, "You know, this drawing was really good." And those children were so happy, and he was so kind and so thoughtful that really tells me, you know, that he's brought up in a household with empathy and kindness. And in this world, in this country, right here in the United States, we need a whole lot more of that. So I credit both of my children, Christina as mom and Tom as his son, for that. Okay. So what do you think of this right now? She's a little bit of a hot mess, but we might be able to bring it together. If nothing else, it's interesting. Okay. Let's let that dry. And I'm wondering if on the other one I should try and use a little less ink. I don't know. It's not what I envisioned, but there's a sheen in that ink where it's thick, which is really interesting. I might be able to go back when it's dry and add some details that will help. This one eye right here is too white, so I'm going to go back in with a tiny little brush. And that same tiny little brush, I'm going to soften out this edge of the mouth. Okay, let's leave it at that. And let me start on the other one. My mother-in-law. I turned 48 years old this week, and my children are grown. They are 30 and 33. And back in the day when my kids were little and I was poor as anything, my mother-in-law was so generous. She really showed me what it was like to give of yourself and make somebody else's life easier. All right, so where am I going to put this face? Let's go here. So when we had nothing, she would, there was one point I didn't even know what size clothes my own children wore because she bought them all. She would take them out. She would travel with them. She would take them to dinner. She would take them for haircuts. She was just so ultimately generous. And my mother-in-law also, as well as my daughter-in-law, are women who not only are they fierce parents, and my mother-in-law a fierce grandparent and loving in that way, but strong women in their own right. My mother-in-law was an executive, and I'll never forget the story of my older son. He was young. I don't know how old he was. But somehow they went over to her place of work. And when she walked through, it was a huge corporate office. I won't mention what corporation, but she was one of the executive vice presidents. And my son said to me, maybe he was 8, he said, "Mom, everybody was scared. They all stopped talking and got to work." He said, "Why? It's just grandma." And I chuckled to myself. To him, she was grandma, but she was a force in a world that at that time, it was really difficult to make a mark as a woman in the business world. So, isn't that the dilemma that all women have? How are we going to identify ourselves? What are we going to do? What is important to us? So she was very good at business and very good at her work and earned very good money. Yet she taught me what it was like to help my children. And that's something that gets passed on. When I'm generous with my daughter-in-law and she's a little taken back by it, like she doesn't understand, I say, yeah, this is how I was taught. We pass it on. My mother-in-law was generous with me and taught me how to be generous with you. And now you pass it on to your children. I hope you guys aren't annoyed by these ramblings, but these are the sentiments in life that are connected to our art. I'm not just creating faces and cards and flowers. I'm creating this with this purpose, and it's almost like a meditation of what I think about these beautiful women around me and how much they mean to me and how much they've taught me. And I don't often say that to them, but it's in my art. This is what we pour out into our art. And my mother passed away when I was 23. She never met my children. I didn't get to learn from her how to pay it forward to my children, but I learned from my mother-in-law, and I am eternally grateful for that. So let's see, this face is turning out a little different. What kind of hair will she have? I think she's going to have hair like that. Now the question is, pardon me, another lack of air. I put in the 3 flowers where there's orange. Do I want to do that here? I know this one won't work. It's over her chin. I'm going to pause for a minute and cough. Hold on. All right, hopefully that'll take care of my air problem. No guarantees. So like I said, I'm going to add a flower here. These might be slightly different flowers than are on the other card. That right now looks a little busy and messy, but I'm hoping when I soften it out, it's okay. I think that's going to have to go partly into her face. I'm almost thinking that should be left alone, but what I think I'll do is I'll use a really small brush, so maybe I'm adding less water and things won't, what do you call it, bleed out so much. Now see, that definitely makes a difference. I'm getting a lot less dark. It's a more subtle, softer shading. I have other fountain pens with ink that aren't as vibrant as this and don't bleed as much, but this is my favorite one. Now this one, I knew before I did that one. I don't know why I did it. I didn't put ink on this round part of her nose. I just used what's in the brush from elsewhere, and it worked better. This paper did flatten out almost all the way. It's not as flat as this one. You can still feel ripples, but it's okay. It's all right. Now I have to decide what is more important here, her face or the flower. I like the way that butterfly shows in that flower. Remember, I can go back with my pen after it's dry and add any details that get lost. Working this way, inevitably some, like her nose over here, a lot of it got lost. But I can go back and add that in. It's not a problem. You know, there are other women who, in my life, who are fabulous mothers. All 3 of my sisters have children, beautiful children, interesting people that they've raised. My sister-in-law, Wendy, is another person who deserves a shout out for being a dedicated mom who really, really lives with a lot of joy in her children. There are so many people, and even women who do not have children of their own celebrate their moms tomorrow, and maybe some of them experience pain because maybe they never had children or couldn't have children, and they are such beautiful women themselves that it's a shame that maybe they feel pain over not identifying as a mom, and my heart aches for them. Let's see. I like that. I like that, and it's very different from this one. The paper is behaving a little different in how the ink moves from this fountain pen. I don't know if I can explain it to you, but I can see in here where it starts to dissolve and go away and repel over the acrylic ink just because of the different paper. Let's see. So I have 2 flowers in this one, and that's not a good number. I like to work in 3s. See here, the ink is, oddly enough, pulling up and repelling into little droplets there, and I don't know why. It's on top of the acrylic ink, but I don't know if it has more to do with the paper than the ink. So let's see. I need to get a 3rd flower in this one just to balance it out. I think I'm going to put a half of a flower over here. Just like that. If I need to get some orange out to make it an orange flower, I will. I'm not sure if I need to. So I hope I didn't get too sentimental in this video. I know that we as women need to build each other up more and not tear each other down. We're not in this is not a competition. We're here together to support one another and appreciate one another and build each other up. And if anything, find the beauty in each other. I don't know. I think we need more of that in this world. And creating art is creating beauty, and supporting each other is creating beauty, and being kind, and telling maybe somebody, you know, we really think they're a good mom, or we really think they're a beautiful person, or we really think they're creative, or we really think they're funny and intelligent and hip and cool. Whatever it is. You know, maybe they're good at creating a beautiful home and a beautiful environment for their family, or their husband, or their significant other, or their partner. Maybe they're good at accepting people for who they are. That's what I hope for Mother's Day this weekend. That we all find something in each other to celebrate. And I think I'll stop with the sentimental talk right now. It's not like me. I guess I'm just having a moment. So let's see. I think these 2 cards are done. Maybe I need to fix her nose. I almost like it weird and funky like that. I think really this one's a little funkier, which is good for my daughter-in-law. And this one is a little more traditional, which is good for my mother-in-law. I'm going to darken her upper lip. Let's see how the tape pulls off. I hope that heat gun didn't. There's the decal edge on that paper. Oh, that was easy. That was nice. There's 2 pieces on this one because I came up a little short. I don't know why I don't make cards more often. There's just not enough time in a week, right? There are so many things we could do. I still hope to open an Etsy shop and start selling some things. Now, how long did this take me? Not very long. And look at that. So, this is the watercolor Strathmore card. And this is the, what is it called? Creative card. More of a mixed media. It's not quite dry yet, but see the wrinkling? You can see the wrinkling on the inside. Where this one stayed beautifully flat. So maybe if I were to use this kind again, I would use less water, maybe not spray it. I think they're both worthy cards to give. The colors are beautiful. I love the orange, the green, and the blue. And I will spend some time, either tonight or tomorrow morning, using the same pen and writing out the insides, and deliver it to two really special women on Mother's Day. Oh, you know what? Is this dry enough? I think I need to add a little detail on the inside of these flowers. It washed out a little too much. So, you're going to get this video with all my meanderings, my sentimental thoughts. I hope it doesn't get on your nerves. I know that I've gotten so many followers who comment on my videos, and they're so supportive and so wonderful. And I have a few men who are making really nice comments on my videos as well. So I just hope everybody has a beautiful weekend for Mother's Day. If you're not a mother, you have a mother or had a mother or know a mother who did a really good job and is doing her best and needs a little bit of support. So I will see you next weekend with another video. Thank you for putting up with all my glitches and ums and coughs and lack of air. And I hope you're inspired to make something beautiful for somebody. Have a beautiful day.